Welcome to our U.S. briefing program. In today's headlines, we start with Israel's military successfully intercepting a missile launched by Yemen's Houthi rebels. This incident marks the second missile aimed at Israel since the Gaza ceasefire ended, with the Houthis claiming to support Palestinian efforts. Fortunately, no injuries were reported as the missile was intercepted before entering Israeli territory. Next up, NATO officials are sounding the alarm on the rising threat of Russian hybrid warfare. With sabotage incidents linked to Russian intelligence surging across Europe, NATO is urged to adopt a more aggressive stance. The situation is tense, with concerns that past mistakes in intelligence could be repeated, allowing Russia to exploit vulnerabilities in the West. Lastly, Greenpeace has been ordered to pay over $660 million in damages related to its protests against the Dakota Access oil pipeline. The environmental group plans to appeal the verdict, asserting that their fight against big oil will continue. This ruling could significantly impact Greenpeace's financial stability, but they remain committed to their cause. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage. CNN reports that the Israeli military successfully intercepted a missile launched by Yemen's Houthi rebels early Thursday morning, marking the second such incident since the Gaza ceasefire ended on Tuesday. The Houthi group, known for its allegiance to Iran, claimed that this ballistic missile was fired in support of Palestinians amidst Israel's renewed airstrikes on Gaza. The missile, which was aimed at Ben Gurion International Airport, was intercepted before it could reach Israeli territory, and thankfully, no injuries were reported. This escalation follows a series of U.S. airstrikes on Yemen, which have resulted in significant casualties, further intensifying the conflict in the region. The Houthis have vowed to continue their attacks on American and Israeli interests until the violence in Gaza ceases, demonstrating the interconnected nature of these geopolitical tensions. Foreign Affairs delves into the rising threat posed by Russia's hybrid warfare tactics, especially since the onset of its full-scale war in Ukraine. NATO officials have highlighted a surge in sabotage operations across Europe, including incidents of arson and assassination plots linked to Russian intelligence. As the Trump administration seeks to mend relations with Moscow, there is concern that this may embolden Russia's covert operations rather than quell them. The Kremlin's intelligence services have become adept at employing unconventional methods to destabilize European nations, including using local criminals for sabotage and attempting to manipulate political landscapes. The article underscores the necessity for a cohesive Western strategy to counter these increasingly sophisticated Russian tactics, as the threat of sabotage and espionage remains ever present in the wake of the ongoing conflict. The Associated Press reveals new developments in the case against Brian Kohberger, who is charged with the murder of 4 University of Idaho students. Prosecutors have uncovered evidence that Kohberger purchased a Ka-bar knife and sheath online prior to the stabbings, which they intend to present as critical evidence during his trial. Additionally, a housemate of the victims reported seeing a man resembling Kohberger in the vicinity of the crime scene on the night of the murders. The court documents detail a search warrant for Kohberger's Amazon activity, aiming to establish a connection between his purchases and the crime. As the trial approaches, the prosecution is preparing to argue that the knife sheath found at the scene likely belonged to Kohberger, while the defense seeks to challenge the admissibility of DNA evidence linked to him. The case continues to unfold, drawing significant public and media attention as it heads toward trial. Australian Broadcasting Corporation. In a landmark ruling, a jury has ordered Greenpeace to pay over $1 billion in damages related to its protests against the Dakota Access oil pipeline. The case, which stems from protests in 2016 and 2017, saw the environmental group accused of defamation and other claims by Energy Transfer, the company behind the pipeline. Greenpeace USA was found liable for nearly $404 million, while its affiliates were held accountable for smaller amounts. Despite the verdict, Greenpeace's legal team remains defiant, vowing to appeal and continue their fight against the oil industry. The case has raised questions about the limits of free speech and the accountability of protest actions, with Energy Transfer framing the decision as a victory for law and order in the face of unlawful protests. South China Morning Post. Canada has condemned the recent execution of 4 Canadians in China, marking a rare and alarming event involving Western nationals. Foreign Minister Melanie Joly revealed that she and former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had sought clemency for the individuals, who were accused of drug-related crimes. The Chinese embassy defended the executions, asserting that the evidence against the Canadians was solid and that they do not recognize dual citizenship. The incident has further strained relations between Canada and China, which have been tense since the 2018 arrest of a Huawei executive in Canada. The situation has drawn international criticism, with Amnesty International calling for Canada to re-evaluate its diplomatic stance in light of these shocking executions. South China Morning Post: renowned pianist Andras Schiff has announced the cancellation of his upcoming U.S. concerts, citing moral obligations in response to recent political shifts in the country. Schiff, who has a long history of collaboration with American orchestras, expressed that he could not remain silent amidst societal injustices, drawing parallels to historical events in Europe. His decision mirrors that of fellow musician Christian Tetzlaff, who also withdrew from performances in the U.S. due to similar sentiments. Both artists emphasize the inseparable nature of art and politics, advocating for artists to respond to the state of the world. Schiff's statement reflects a growing trend among artists to take a stand on political issues, suggesting that the current climate in the U.S. has created a landscape that some no longer wish to engage with. Australian Broadcasting Corporation reports on the case of Mahmoud Khalil, a U.S. permanent resident originally from Syria, who was detained and flown across the country for deportation due to his participation in pro-Palestinian protests while studying at Columbia University. Khalil, who received a green card after marrying a U.S. citizen, became a target for the Trump administration, which has accused him of supporting Hamas and spreading anti-Semitism, claims his lawyers vehemently deny. His detention raises significant questions about free speech and the limits of administrative power, as the government attempts to leverage a Cold War-era law to justify his deportation despite no criminal charges against him. Khalil's legal team argues that the government's actions are retaliatory and violate his constitutional rights, particularly the First and Fifth Amendments, as they seek to challenge the grounds for his detention and deportation. South China Morning Post highlights that Finland has been named the happiest country in the world for the 8th consecutive year, according to the World Happiness Report 2025. Other Nordic countries, including Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden, continue to dominate the top rankings, which are based on individual self-assessments of their lives. The report emphasizes that happiness is influenced by social connections, trust, and community support rather than just wealth. Notably, while European nations excel in happiness, the United States has plummeted to its lowest ever ranking at 24, attributed in part to a significant rise in people dining alone and a decrease in perceived social support. The report reveals a troubling trend, with 19% of young adults globally reporting they have no one to rely on for support, highlighting a growing sense of isolation and unhappiness in many parts of the world. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Great dragon wakes ancient streets, leading change with modern beats. Cities rise and towers peak, new dawn breaking, bold and sleek. From the Great Wall to Shanghai, progress moves as kites fly high. Tech and trade, it's all in play, future shines brighter every day. Great dragon roar, change the cause, marching strong with mighty force. Whoa. New era, new wave, fast-paced day, history made in full display. Politicians make their plea, voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace, ambitions never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew, nations strengthen, bold review. Traditions hold, but minds explore. East meets west and knowledge door. Complex world they navigate, China's power demonstrates. From the Great Wall to Shanghai, progress moves as kites fly high. Tech and trade, it's all the play. Future shines fire every day. Great dragon roars, change the course. Launching strong with mighty force. New era, new way, fast-paced day. History made in bold display. Politicians make their plea. Voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace. Ambitions, their growth and peace. New era, new way, fast-paced day. History made in bold display. History made in bold display. Politicians make their plea. Voices blend in harmony. Policies for growth and peace. Ambitions never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew. Nations strengthen, bold review. Traditions hold but minds explore. East meets west at knowledge door. Complex world they navigate. China's power never cease. Dreams of silk and digital, bridging gaps from old to new. Fortunes build and bonds renew. Nations strengthen, bold review. Traditions hold but minds explore. East meets west at knowledge door. Complex world